Hey everybody, this is Dr. Joe Borio with this week's Thought Flash, and hope you guys are having a great week. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Moving into the holiday season, it's definitely going to get kind of crazy, right? There's a lot of stress, there's a lot of other factors in your life that are kind of pulling you in a different direction, so it's tough to stay right on focus and practice often. So a couple of tips that I'll give clients and I'll share with you guys is rituals. We start strongly on rituals every day. By that I mean I do the same thing every morning when I start my practice day, and almost the same thing I do every day. So I get up in the morning early, I'll do a little bit of reading for about 5 or 10 minutes, at which point I'll certainly get ready for the gym. I go to the gym, I work out for about an hour and a half, then I'll get to the office quite early, say 5:36, 6:30, depending on the workout that day, and then I'll turn on some chiropractic information. So maybe it's something on YouTube, or maybe it's a DVD, or I still have VCR tapes, I have cassette tapes. So certainly any of that information I have in the background. I'll certainly read some information like Fred Barge, or James Chestnut, or BJ Palmer, or D.D. Palmer, or some other inspirational mentors or leaders that I have, from Jim Sigafus to Fred Schofield, or what have you. So I'll listen to these guys, certainly put them in my heart, in my head, and then it gets me in a real good place to start the day. At which point I'll finish some paperwork, and then I'll get right up front. We do about a 5-minute to 10-minute team huddle in the morning, just with the staff to get them on the right page as well. So that's kind of what I want you guys to focus on a lot during this holiday season. Rituals are important really every day that you practice, but I think even more so on those days during the holiday, and certainly in the summer, because we find that a lot of times the patients or your practice members will get off point. That sometimes brings you off point. So by doing the ritual, it actually helps you stay on point. It lets you stay focused, reminds you of what stakes are at hand, what we're really doing, why we're doing it, why we're putting our hands on people, why we're concerned about the neurology and the adjustment and so forth. So real important. Just as a tip, I'm going to get on with one of our webinars here in a couple of minutes, so I wanted to I'll share that with you because we're going to be discussing that with clients today. This is a quick shot of my office. I thought I'd do today's Thought Flash from the office, but you can see this is the TV that we do our group talks. We have a neuropatholator. I've got pictures of BJ and Dee. I also have some information about who they are and what they did and what contribution they had to chiropractic. Also above the ceiling, so when patients are laying on their back and they look up, there's a picture of Dee, Harvey Lillard, and BJ Palmer in all of the adjusting rooms. So patients can look at those and they can actually ask me, who are they? I can't read the reading or the writing, and I can discuss with them what it is they did, who they are, what contribution they had, what chiropractic is, how it started. Often we've reviewed that with them many times, but they forget, or they'll bring in other family members or friends who aren't practice members here, and they'll say, hey, you got pictures on the ceiling, what's that all about? And again, it gives you another opportunity to tell the story. It gives you an engagement in order to stay on point, rather than talk about the weather or sports or all that other stuff that sometimes kind of creeps into your adjusting area. A couple of things I'll talk about today really is A Life Without Fear. One of my favorite books, One Cause, One Cure, is another book that's by Fred Barge as well. Why I like this is it's really not a lot of Fred Barge. It's actually a culmination of a lot of great mentors and speakers kind of collectively put together by Fred Barge. And what Life Without Fear is it's a group of philosophical doctrine, really, and a culmination of other great speakers, other great mentors in science that aren't chiropractors. And when you read this, what it does is it gives you that certainty so that you can start to practice without fear. And Life Without Fear really means in practice, practicing without fear. And that's really the biggest challenge I see with so many chiropractors, and certainly CAs, and I see it with associates and so forth, is that lack of certainty. I remember Jim Chestnut said that the biggest dagger placed in the back of chiropractors was the dagger of non-science, that chiropractors were told, or let me rephrase that, it was told by others that chiropractors weren't scientific, that we focused on cultish or non-scientific approaches, when nothing could be further from the truth. We've done that on other Thought Flashes, but if you read the original 5 premises that D.D. Palmer based chiropractic on, premise 4 and premise 5 were nothing but that it's a science. He was very scientific, and he was very deductive in his reasoning as to why he should have a certain outcome, D.D. Palmer, why there should be a result, a certain outcome based upon his action, and that action being that a displaced vertebrae and Harvey Lillard's spine would cause a change in the neurology, the change in the mental impulses from the brain to a particular body part. So by moving that vertebrae to a different position, it would relieve the pressure and allow the mental impulses to flow better, and therefore there would be a result. So he had a deductive reasoning. So there was a lot of science, because he started as a magnetic healer where they talked about the neurology, and he had a thirst for knowledge. The man obviously was brilliant, and this guy has this great brain and this great deductive reasoning as to why in health the body would fail. Why will the body get sick in certain areas? And it really all had to do with a blockage of innate. Now, innate wasn't always blocked based upon neurology. You could have toxins in the body, right? There could be a deficiency in matter, if you will. By that I mean that if we're born with some type of a genetic challenge, there could be blockages based on nutrition or other activities of the human body. But the primary premise of a chiropractor was that of the innate flow through the mental impulses. So it's our job to ensure that the spine stays in proper alignment. Why I love this book is when he goes through this book and he adds all this great information. He adds information from Stevenson's original textbook on chiropractic philosophy, Universal Intelligence is in all matter, continually gives to it all its properties and actions. And the expression of this intelligence through matter is the chiropractic meaning of life. Therefore, life is necessarily the union of intelligence and matter. I love that. Why? Because I talked last week and the week before on Francis Bowen. What did he say? He said that the human body is not an organism, that it is an intelligence served by organs. And I absolutely love that. It's one of my favorite quotes, and it's by a non-chiropractor, but it's by a very intelligent person who realized early on that, you know what, there's something more. There's an intelligence that is served by the flesh of the human body, that there's something more than the human body, that the organs and the cells and the structures of the body are basically allowing the intelligence to express itself. And it's amazing. They serve the intelligence. And it's just a great way to think about it. I love that concept. The other aspect I love about this is he goes through Dr. Still, who originated osteopathy. He goes through magnetic healing. He goes through other individuals throughout the chiropractic history, chiropractors and non-chiropractors, and William Mayo from the Mayo Clinic, and he takes Jaffa, different quotes from great leaders, and he puts those all together. And why I love that book is when you read it, it really starts to put together that confidence, that certainty that you need. So it's a book to read often. I've talked to other people about reading this book and they said, oh, I've read it. Let me tell you straight out, read it again. I went on vacation last year and I was away for a week, and I actually brought Life Without Fear, and I brought One Cause, One Cure. I didn't want to bring a bunch of books because then often I read less, so I figured I'd bring a couple of books and just read them. And I'd read them many times before. I actually read each book 3 times, over and over and over. And I took more and more notes in the book and on the side of the page of the book and in the column of the book and on the back of the book. And I was different every time I read it. So if you read a book a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, read it again because you're different. You're a different person. The experiences of your life, the experiences of practicing as a chiropractor make it different, and as a result, you're going to get something different. The experience is going to be different. What you draw out of the book is going to be different. Quick announcements: we're going to have a seminar in Las Vegas, our biggest one every year. It's going to be on the 21st and 22nd of January. We'd certainly love for you to come in. Normal fee is $97. If you choose to come based upon a Thot Flash, just mention it. It's only half price. Certainly anyone else that you bring will certainly be honored by that, because a guest is only half price as well. So for $47, you can certainly experience 2 days on a Friday night and a Saturday all day. Some great information, great philosophy, great practice tips. We'd certainly love to have you. Make sure you join our Thot Flash email. Certainly spread this across the country to other chiropractors so they can get some benefits of practice. And listen, may your innate flow from above down, guys. Have a great week serving people, spreading the word of chiropractic. Practice with excitement, with enthusiasm. Practice without fear. Have a great week.
My best friend gave me the best.